All right. Like there's like thunder and rain and craziness going on right there, like literally 3 meters from me, and somehow it's barely heard in the microphone. It's very impressive. Hello, here we are. GSAMP September 2024. JSAMP. And we have been going deeper and deeper into our theme this year, which is activating our pillars of light. And we took the first part of the year to really work on making some room, allowing more and more energy to come through us by decluttering our field, by coming into a deeper and deeper alignment with ourselves, by our willingness to be everywhere in our body, to learn to notice the left side of my body is a little bit harder for me to be in than my right side. And just that knowledge already starts shifting the reality of how your energy structure is reacting to things. Our goal is to inhabit all of it, all the right side, all the left side, as much the front as the back, as much the connection coming down from source as the connection coming up from earth. And finally, to have that deep connection to the core and the ability to feel that energy going outwards and also feel the momentum of energy that comes in and that we receive through our heart and our core. So we have been getting better and better at bringing energy in these places. And last month, I started talking to you about the solar plexus mutation, which is a very, very important process happening right now, which in a nutshell is the evolution of intuition, the evolution of the intuition that we've known up to now, which has been fear-based. It's not negative to say that. It's been fear-based in the sense that it's been a survival instinct. It's been a sixth sense that was at the service of our survival. And the solar plexus mutation is this huge transition that goes with ascension, that goes with the process of us moving from third density bodies into fourth density bodies, from us moving from third and fifth dimensional living and perceiving into fifth dimensional living and perceiving. And in order for us to be able to embody fourth density and to be able to perceive the world through the lens of the fifth dimension, we need to be functioning from a place of love. Sorry, I've got papers flying. We need to function from a place of love. Fear is like a barrier, you know, and it's okay that it's like that. It's there to let us know. It's there to let us know something needs to be addressed, you know, and when healing is all about spreading the love through the entire field of consciousness, through all of your body. And where there's fear, the love can't flow through fear. It's a tricky thing to talk about because we're like, you know, love heals everything. Love is what flows in you naturally when there aren't a bunch of barriers and contractions in your body and in your field. So as we work on becoming pillars of light that are able to stand in a straight line of energy, have their heart deeply connected with the earth and with God, we can't do that from a place of fear. And we live in a field that still carries a lot of fear in it. So a big part of our work, the biggest part of your job in the healing theme is to dissolve the fears within you. Believe it or not, most of the other stuff just happens on its own. When there are not fears in the way, the energies can flow. When the energies can flow, whatever needs to be addressed or dissolved or transmuted or healed or whatever, it just naturally comes up. It is naturally available. So in many ways, this is a really deep thing to understand. You don't need to go walk around in the world trying to figure out how to love everything more, because in many ways, that's like a fear-based thing. If I love people enough, then they'll be nice with me and I don't have to feel unsafe. If I love this person enough, they'll give me blah, 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 and then I'll feel whole. That's not what we're talking about. Real love, like love with a capital L, is an emanation coming from you. It's not something coming into you. It's already there. And it always has been, and it always will. It's already there, and you know that's what you are, and that just naturally emanates. And for it to naturally emanate and go towards others and go through you, there needs to not be barriers in the way. And these barriers are wounds. They're basically they're the wounds that we carry. So, we all love this idea of like, I want to be a pillar of light. And yeah, we do. The only way you can be a pillar of light is by healing yourself. And the way you heal yourself is by giving space, being willing to go where the fear is, where the contraction is, where the discomfort is, where whatever is in you that needs your attention. And there's something very, very incredible to realize is that when you truly do go in an energy in you that needs your attention, like the true span of time needed to actually heal something is about 90 seconds. And we're like, what do you mean? I've been carrying this for 20 years, When we fully go into something without any story around it, without any resistance to it, without any kind of half-ass negative intention of I'll go do that, but just because I want this other thing, when we are really willing to go fully and completely into something and hold space for it and be with it and just like dive right into it, it takes your physical body about 90 seconds to process an emotion completely. Wow. Wow. What happens to us is that we've got all these stories. We've got all these stories around our wounds so that we don't drown in them, let's say. And that's something I want to talk about tonight a little bit, is the different kinds of fear that we carry in our bodies. And the more we understand these different kinds of fears, the more we can actually understand how to address them and how to hold space for them and how to, I want to say reprogram, but I don't like that word because I don't want to be reprogrammed. I want to deprogram. Like, I don't want to put new programs in, but most fears are programs. And our goal is to bring those to light and help them dissolve. Most of them, you don't just carry in you, they're carried by humanity. And this is where it kind of gets, it can seem tricky because all you can really do is work on your own fears. All you can really do is work on dissolving what's in you. But the higher up you go in consciousness, the more you understand and come to terms with the fact that anything you heal in you is directly by osmosis available to the field, available to anyone else that's in this place where they are willing to do that work too. So there is no deeper and better work you can do on this earth than to work on yourself. We've all heard this, but it's true. It really is. It really, really is. Yeah. So, four kinds of fears. This is based on something I think I heard Cryon talking about that like 4 or 5 years back, and it really stuck with me. And I was like, wow, I like that. Nice breakdown. So basically, they're not in order of intensity or anything like that. The first type of fear that we carry is 3D fear, fear of the physical body, fear that, it's survival instincts. It's like, it's the intuition of what can be dangerous for your body. And some of these fears are like, you come in with them. You did not learn these fears in this life. So fears like primal fears, like fear of the dark, fear of being eaten. Woo! Fear of being eaten, or like if something, being stronger than you and taking you away. Fear of exclusion, fear of being rejected and then being alone, where, especially in the dark, you're just going to be eaten or taken away. And finally, fear of not being good enough. In other words, fear that you can't handle something. These fears are like so deep in the reptilian brain. They are the basic fears of survival. So let's call them the 3D fears, because 3D equals you have a physical body, and that physical body is relatively fragile. Okay, so that's 3D fear. Second type of fear, fear of enlightenment, fear of fully stepping into your light and expressing it in this world and having shit happen to you because you did that. So we're talking about like, we're talking about fears from past lives, fears that are deeply ingrained in the collective unconscious of the earth. We have all had lives where to have opened up and shone too bright has led to physical danger, has led to us either getting burnt at the stake, either, being shunned by a village as some kind of witch, as people in power that don't want, intuitive beings that are connected to love and light to be around the people too much because they'll start waking up. So all this like fear of enlightenment. And there are so many people on this earth that carry this fear. There are so many people that step back and don't allow themselves to do what their heart and their soul longs to do on this earth because of that fear. It's sad when you think about it, actually. There's this guy on Facebook. He's got a program he does every year. It's called the persecution imprint. And that's exactly what that is. Like, he's helping people heal that. So many light workers, many people that have strong hearts, strong connection to source, have had bad experiences in past lives, and that is still carried within the field of their aura, but also within the field of humanity. Like, for God's sakes, even in a schoolyard, even in a schoolyard, we can go through that fear. You just stand up for something that you love, and people make fun of you. You stand up for a kid that's getting beat up, and you get the shit kicked out of you. Like, there's a bunch of variations of this fear, but basically it comes down to, if I fully stand in my light, and if I choose, what is made of love and respects life, I can be hurt for that. So fear of 3D reality, fear of survival fear of enlightenment, fear of what happens if we fully step into our light. Then we have Then we have mind-made fear. And this is like real-time fear. This is the shit we make up that scares us. It's not related to the past. It's not related to survival. It's related to the stories we start spinning. Well, what if that happens? Or what if this happens? Or you watch the news and, oh my God, there's a war. Oh my God, maybe someone's going to show up at my house and start shooting me down. Or no. That we call that one real-time fear. We are literally making it up as we go along. That's one of the easier ones to kind of work on, because you can just really kind of go like, really? Is that really true? Is there really someone with a gun that's just going to show up at my house because there's a war going on 20,000 kilometers away? Probably not, So, got fear of 3D reality, fear of enlightenment, mind-made fear. And the last one is ancestral fear. So, similar to fear of enlightenment, ancestral fear is more deeply ingrained on the genetic lines and ancestral lines that we're incarnated on. It can also be from past lives that we've had, in the sense that, we're on that lineage. So these are a variety of fears, fears of opening up, fear of being in relationship, fear of what happens if you try to take your power back, fear of, it's just curses, generational curses, stuff like that. These are a little bit different than the fears of enlightenment, because they're not specifically about, you were a healer and you were killed because of it. These are the fears that our ancestors carry. Fear of starving. That's one on my family lineage for sure. Fear of running out and freezing to death. Fear of drowning, like a bunch of stuff like that comes from our lineages. Okay. So we've got these 4 types of fears. Something that's tricky is that our fears of survival, fear of the dark, fear of being eaten / taken away, fear of not being strong enough, these things are getting flared up right now, not because there's a Bengal tiger at your door, but because we are starting to, how to explain this? We're not really living in 3D anymore. We're in 4D. We're in 4th dimension. We are becoming more and more aware of energy and vibration. 3D living is like only what you see with your eyes and touch with your hands. No one on calls like this are at that place. That's like kind of like hardcore. Only what I see is real and everything else is a bunch of bullshit. None of us are living in that world anymore. We are aware of frequency and vibration. We are aware of energies. And some of these energies aren't nice. We carry these same survival fears in relation to those. Fear of the dark, i.e., dark entities. Fear of being eaten / taken away, like fear of being possessed. Fear that we're not good enough equals fear of not being sure that we are strong enough light pillars that we can take it and not topple. So, yeah, these are the fears I want to go play with tonight in our meditation. It doesn't mean I'm not going to touch the other ones, but I want you to remember all this stuff, it's in your body. And your body, you as a soul getting to come here in a body, one of the coolest, the reason most souls want to come into a body and have the experience of being here is because of the level at which things can be processed. You do not process the same way when you're an energy being. When you have a physical body, 90 seconds, you can process things with the physical body in a way that's completely different from how things are processed when you're only etheric. And we do not realize how, my God, I don't know what happens when people start waking up and realizing, like, oh my God, it's so cool that I get to be in this vessel and feel all these things here and feel what happens when I make shit up with my mind and feel what fear feels like. Fear exists, fear exists out there too. There's love-based beings, and there are beings that are not love-based. That they function in a frequency of fear. So fear is not something that only humans experience, but we get to feel feel what it feels like, which also means that we can process. We can be fear processors in a way that is dreamed of being able to do from other levels and other levels of densities. So being here is a very, very powerful experience of being able to process fear through a physical body. I cannot say it enough how, I want to say important, but it's beyond that. The level of evolution and understanding and teachings and learnings that we can receive through being in a body and embodying frequencies in a physical body and processing them and dissolving and transmuting them from the inside of the body is something that allows you to learn and evolve at a rhythm of a couple of thousand years for something that can take a couple of million when you're in a non-incarnate dimension. It makes me want to be like, yet for us to fully understand how awesome that is, we need to go through the experience of processing fear and seeing what happens when we actually process it out. And then we can actually feel the love being that we are. So in a nutshell, what I want to do tonight, as you know, we're on month 9 now of working on these pillars, of creating more and more space within them. So what I want to do tonight is I want us to really stand as pillars. It's like some of us stand on specific points of the earth grid. We don't even need to know which one it is, because that's mental bullshit, like your soul knows exactly where it needs to go. I want us to have an experience tonight where we do take the time to allow ourselves to be these vectors, kind of like these points of, as like lines of light that bring the heart of God through our central line into the heart of the earth, into the heart of Gaia, and consciously process fear through our bodies in real time together. None of us are doing it alone, right? I'm not telling you go over there and scare yourself and process it. No, we're going to do it. We're doing it together tonight, which creates a field and amplifies. It just amplifies our ability to process. You are here to be a fear processor so that you can be a love frequency emitter. Step 1, process the fear in your body. Step 2, emitting just happens naturally. The sun doesn't, there's no effort involved in the sun shining its rays. The only effort we need to do is the one of becoming very aware of what we're holding in our body. And because we're working it out in our body, we're also working it out in the body of humanity, which, if you could imagine, is like one big body, let's say. And each of us choosing to do the work from where we are is literally transmuting and dissolving the areas in the body of humanity where the love isn't quite able to flow through yet. So anything else I want to say before I move on? Time is it? It's not too bad. Something else I want to say very quickly. This is almost like, here's how to geolocate your, how to geolocalize ourselves in the fabric of consciousness at this time in the space-time continuum and what we're doing. Next month, I'm going to talk a lot about densities and dimensions. It's very interesting information to understand that. But what I want to just mention tonight is that it's like there's like 4 levels. There's a lot of force tonight, 4 types of fear, 4 levels of awakening. There are, in humanity, there are people that are still completely asleep. They're completely asleep. They are completely 3D. They watch the news every day. They believe everything they hear. I'm not judging, but these are the sleepers. You could call them the sleepers. Then you've got the people that are like, kind of like waking up a little bit. They're kind of like scratching their head a little bit, like, really? They're like they're the people that are starting to wake up a little bit. The main thing they're going through is they can't completely keep their eyes shut anymore because they have whatever intuited or have seen something that is even if they want to keep them eyes wide shut, it's like it's poking up. It's in their face. The reality that they are going through most of the time is there is still a battle going on. There is still a battle of the ego pushing them to stay asleep and the soul that's trying to pull them into waking up more and more. And it's a very kind of turmoil place to be. It's like a yes, no, push, pull. Like I fucking know. I'm pretty sure I need to wake up, but I don't want to. I want to go watch Netflix or there has been an awakening that started, but there is still a desire to maybe remain asleep. And we can probably identify these people in our lives and even ourselves because we can kind of move around in there. Then there are people that are like awake enough that they can't fall back asleep. Like they're not fully awakened. That's the next one, but they're in this place where they can't play the game anymore. The push pull of ego and soul, it's not working anymore. They know there's something going on. They know there's an awakening process going on. They are no longer willing to close their eyes and make believe it's not there. They seek community because when you're starting to realize the world you're in and you're waking up, you're kind of like, where are my peeps, man? Because if you're just hanging out with a bunch of sleepers, you're freaking out, right? So, and if you're with people that are half awake, half asleep, it can be kind of turmoil-ish to be around them when you've already made the decision that I will no longer fall asleep. But that level of person also understands, and I still need work. There's still things I need to do to be able to fully embody awakening all the time. So that's kind of where people that come on a call like this are. We're like, okay, I got it. And I understand I need to keep doing work to pump up the light and amp it up and, keep decluttering, keep, transmuting the energy in me, be willing to go in and meet the darkness, meet the pain, meet the wounds, so it's like, yes, bring it. What do I need to do? Like work with, this energy, that energy, this healer, these kind of sessions. We're there and we're willing to do the work. And then the last, not pillar, but the last like level of awakened people are people that are awake and they've been awake for a while. Like they've had eyes wide open for a while. A lot of these people are the ones that have already started building the structures of the future. Like they have worked out their inner darkness enough that they have no difficulty seeing all the darkness in the world without freaking out about it. They see it. They know it's there. And it's because they have all this space in them that they're able to see it without having fear, without experiencing fear about it. So just to come back to these fears I was talking about at the beginning, right? What we want is like, let's say let's say like sleep is level 1, one eye open is level 2, both eyes open, but trying to figure out how to keep them open is level 3, and eyes wide open is level 4. We're like level 3, and we're trying to anchor and understand, how do we fully ground and embody level 4? How do I awaken completely and remain awake and remain able to be a pillar of light no matter what darkness is around me, i.e., without survival fears kicking in? That's what we want. Something incredible happens when we're like that too. When you have processed and worked out most of the darkness in you, the darkness outside of you is just something that needs you to shed the light in you inside of it. I might run out of internet. No, okay, good. And that's the way I see it. I see it like that's the place we're playing. We're playing between the 3 and the 4. You're in 3 and you're like, okay, how do I really, really ground in 4? And that's the goal of this work. That's the goal of doing work with our pillars, is so we can be more and more like, and be able to shed light on the fear around us. And in order to do that, we need to first shed it within. So I'm going to start the meditation in a couple of minutes. To anyone that's heard this part of the call on YouTube, if you want to join us, there's an application process. There's information in the description. And I hope that what I've shared brings something to your life.